Discover how a single mom's life-changing journey on a plane exposed an unexpected hero in uniform. Ava felt the weight of the world pressing down on her as she boarded the plane, tugging Tyler closer to her side. At 34, life had carved its toll on her, and the tight airplane seat seemed a direct reflection of her world, small, cramped, and filled with uncertainty. She glanced around, watching suited executives engrossed in their screens and families chatting animatedly, their smiles a stark contrast to her own anxious heart. The whispers of her family's judgment echoed in her mind. Why didn't you stay in your hometown? If only you had made better choices. The criticism sliced deeper with each thought. The plane's engines roared to life, and Ava's grip on Tyler's hand tightened. Her chest felt tight, a surge of anxiety bubbling within her. As the plane taxied down the runway, the familiar fear of flying clawed at her insides. What if they crashed? What if she disappointed her family at her sister's wedding? She looked down at Tyler, his innocent face filled with wonder as he peered out the window. She couldn't let her fears overshadow his excitement. Suddenly, turbulence hit. The plane shook violently, and gasps rippled through the cabin. The chaos mirrored her internal struggle, each jolt amplifying her insecurities. Moments stretched into eternity. But just as panic began to rise, a calm figure emerged, a soldier in uniform standing up, his presence commanding attention. He spoke, his voice steady and warm through the chaos. We're in this together, folks. Look around. We're a community. Ava felt a flicker of hope, her heart lightening at the soldier's words. She watched as some passengers exchanged anxious glances, while others turned to face him, seeking reassurance. Yet, not all were receptive. One voice rose above the others, pouring disdain onto the soldier's message, arguing that they didn't need reminders of unity amidst their fear. Ava's heart sank. She knew that feeling all too well, the longing for acceptance, the sting of judgment. As the soldier responded to the descending passenger, Ava felt an unshakable connection. This soldier, who had fought for his own sense of purpose, affected people just like her, like they were fighting different battles but shared a common ground. Fear and hope collided within her, creating a storm of reflection. When had pride turned into judgment? When had the pursuit of better lives become a scale that judged worthiness? The turbulence settled a bit, and as it did, the soldier opened up about the struggles he faced serving a country that sometimes turned its back on the very heroes it celebrated. The air in the cabin shifted, curiosity blossoming among passengers, leading to a hesitant respect. Just when it seemed they might bond over their shared experiences, the discontent stirred again, blaming the soldier for being a symbol rather than a solution. Ava's heart raced, not just from the turbulence but from the realization that she too had faced that judgment. She desperately wanted to share her story, to reclaim her dignity against the backdrop of her upbringing. They were so similar, yet worlds apart. As the plane descended toward their destination, feelings of uncertainty twisted within her. Would she finally find the courage to challenge those oppressive judgments? Would the soldier's strength inspire her to embrace her own journey, or would they continue to stand divided? Just as the wheels touched the runway, the question hung in the air: could she rise above it all, or would fear continue to tether her down? She could feel something shifting within her, an ember of determination, ready to ignite. As the plane came to a halt, Ava's breath caught in her throat. The anxiety that had gripped her through the flight seemed to effortlessly shift into a renewed sense of clarity as she collected her belongings. She unbuckled Tyler, who was bouncing in his seat with the thrill of landing, completely oblivious to the storm of emotions swirling in his mother. "Mom. We landed." Tyler grinned, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Ava couldn't help but return his joy, even if her heart still felt heavy with doubt. "Yeah, buddy. We did." Her smile was genuine, but beneath it lay the tremors of fear that soon clashed with a flicker of resolve. Leaving the confines of the airplane, stepping toward the unknown, she couldn't ignore the weight of her thoughts. What would she say to her family? Would they see her changes? Or would they still view her through the lens of past mistakes? As they moved through the terminal, Ava trailed her fingers along the rough edges of the metal railings. They eventually found themselves in the crowded arrival area, vibrant with laughter, tears, and embraces. Families reunited. Friends met again. Ava felt the distance to her own family grow with every step. They were often the first to point out her flaws, the choices that brought her here, the struggles she faced as a single mother. But as she looked around, she noticed people in uniforms and ordinary clothes, carrying their own burdens and fears, just like her. The soldier's words echoed in her mind. "We're a community. Look, Mom. There's Grandma," Tyler shouted, breaking through her reverie. Ava followed his gaze to see her mother at the edge of the crowd, waving enthusiastically. The older woman was a whirlwind of joy, a stark contrast to Ava's cautious energy. "Hi, sweetheart," her mother said, pulling both Ava and Tyler into a tight embrace. The warmth was comforting, yet the pressure swiftly returned with an unspoken evaluation. "So nice to see you, Ava. Been a while." "Yeah, I've missed you too, Mom," she managed to say, forcing a smile as they stepped back. She longed to confide in her mother about the journey, the turbulence, the soldier, the epiphany blossoming inside her. Yet, the fear of judgment kept her silent. Instead, they exchanged small talk about the weather and wedding details. Tyler engaged Grandma easily, making the conversation light, while Ava fought to silence her inner critic. Was she doing better? Was that enough? As they began to walk towards the parking lot, Ava couldn't shake the doubt creeping in. Her mother seemed oblivious to the emotional storm inside her daughter, focusing instead on Tyler's excitement. But with each step forward, the flame of determination within her flickered brighter. "Hey, Tyler," Ava said, her voice softer now. "Are you excited to meet your aunts and uncles? They're going to be there too." "Yeah. I can't wait," he chirped eagerly. But even as he spoke, Ava wrestled with the weight of unexpressed feelings. Would she finally stand up for herself in this new chapter? Would she no longer feel like the girl who needed approval? Just then, the soldier's presence came to mind again, rooted in her heart like a lifeline. Maybe confronting her family wasn't about them accepting her, maybe it was about accepting herself first. They reached the car, and as Ava closed the door behind her, she felt a rush of both trepidation and excitement. This trip had already begun shaping her in ways she never expected. Now she was on the cusp of a choice, to reclaim her voice or to remain quiet among the din of expectations. As she turned to Tyler, ready to speak, the weight of the moment centered around her. Would the soldier's impact fuel her transformation, or would she retreat once again into the shadows? The air was thick with tension as she took a deep breath, readying herself for whatever was to come. As they drove through the familiar streets, memories rushed back like a tidal wave. Old houses lined with picket fences, the park where Ava had taken her first steps and where her father had once taught her to ride a bike. This was the home of her childhood, a place filled with laughter and love, but also with ghosts of her past. "Can we go to the park later?" Tyler asked, his little voice snapping Ava from her thoughts. "Of course, we can," she replied, surprised by the brightness in her own tone. Maybe she could reclaim some of those moments for herself. Her mother engaged Tyler in conversation, asking all the right questions about school and hobbies. It was a dance they had mastered over the years, her mother leading with warmth while Ava followed, her steps less certain. "Are you going to tell us what you've been up to?" her mom ventured, glancing at Ava in the rearview mirror. Ava's heart began to race. A million thoughts flashed through her mind, each one overlapping the last. Was she ready to share? How could she explain everything that had changed in her since her last visit? Any new hobbies? Her mother pressed, trying to break the silence that had settled like fog. "I started painting," Ava finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Painting? That's wonderful. You always had a knack for art," her mother replied enthusiastically. For a moment, Ava felt a swell of pride, but the moment was followed by a sense of urgency. Could she really share her journey? Tyler rushed them along, oblivious to his mother's turmoil. "Can I have a snack when we get there?" "Of course. Lots of snacks. What do you want?" Her mother enticed him, while Ava knew it was now or never. "Mom, I wanted to talk about something important." Her mother's smile faded, replaced by concern. In the rearview mirror, Ava caught a glimpse of her mother's understanding eyes. "What is it, dear?" Taking a deep breath, Ava felt the walls around her heart begin to crack. "I've been working on myself. Trying to be a better me." Her mother's eyebrows knitted together as she processed the words, prompting Ava to continue. "Things have been different for me these days. I'm feeling stronger, I guess. The flight, it really made me think." Her mother nodded slowly, encouragingly. "That's good to hear, honey. Growth takes time." "Does it?" Ava replied, her voice lifting slightly. "Because it feels like I'm always playing catch-up. Like no matter how hard I try, I'm never fully accepted or understood." "You know that's not true," her mother said gently, her voice almost a whisper. As they pulled into the driveway, Ava felt the weight of her nerves tighten around her chest. Would her family see the changes she felt inside? Would her struggles ultimately be overshadowed by their expectations? They stepped out, the front door welcoming them with the familiar creak and scent of home. Every corner of the house held memories, some sweet, some bitter. As Tyler raced inside, the sound of laughter rang like music through the air, but Ava hesitated. "Mom, wait." She turned, resolved to say what was on her heart. "What is it, Ava? Can we talk, just us? Before everyone else arrives?" Her mother's gaze softened, a knowing smile creeping onto her lips. "Of course, sweetheart. Let us go to the living room." As Ava stepped inside, her heart raced. This was the moment. This was her chance to reclaim her voice. What she didn't expect, however, was to hear her mother whisper the truth she had secretly feared all along. "Ava, I've seen your struggles more than you know, and I think it's time we address them." With her heart pounding in her chest, Ava wondered if she was truly ready to face the truth, or if it would unearth everything she had worked so hard to bury. Could this be a turning point, or would it turn into yet another trigger of past pain? Ava felt a chill run down her spine as her mother's words echoed in the quiet living room. The sun filtered through the curtains, casting soft shadows that danced on the walls, but the warmth didn't reach her. Instead, a wave of familiar anxiety washed over her. "Ava, please sit down," her mom said, her tone a mix of authority and gentleness. Ava moved to the couch, her heart racing, palms sweating. She could almost hear the flutter of her own heartbeat as she settled into the worn cushions. "I've seen you struggle so much since that time," her mother started, her voice cracking slightly. "And I've been worried. It's not easy for any of us, is it?" Ava felt a knot in her throat. "You don't have to worry about me," she mumbled, trying to muster a smile, but it felt weak even to herself. "No, honey, I think it's time we both open up," her mother insisted, leaning forward. "I want to understand. What happened after your flight? The news said so many people were affected. But I think it's more." Ava flinched at the mention of the flight. How could she even begin to explain how profoundly it had changed her, how it had cracked her world open? "There was a man, a hero," she started, her voice tremulous. "He kept everyone calm, made sure we all felt safe. He was just a regular guy, but he stepped up like you see in the movies." "A hero," her mother echoed softly, as if tasting the word. "That must have been comforting." Ava felt a burn behind her eyes. Was it comforting? Yes, but it was more complex than that. But it made me realize how much fear I've been carrying with me. And how badly I want to change. Her mother nodded, her eyes glistening with understanding. "Change is scary, sweetie. And it takes strength." Ava stared at the floor, the carpet familiar but suddenly foreign. "I thought I'd be okay after everything, but I keep feeling like I'm stuck. Like I'm still that little girl who has to hide when things get tough." Tears spilled over her cheeks then. The weight of the unspoken fears that pulled her down felt alleviated just a little by sharing them. "I've tried to paint past it, to create something beautiful when all I see is wreckage. I want to be the hero in my own life." Her mother shifted closer, brushing aside Ava's hair gently. "You already are. The very act of wanting to grow, to be honest with yourself, that's heroic." Remember that. Ava took a breath, emotions swirling through her. Could she embrace this new version of herself? Was she really capable of this growth? The sound of laughter from Tyler in the other room felt distant yet comforting. For a moment, she let herself imagine what it would be like to operate from a place of strength instead of fear. "Mom," she said suddenly. "What about you? You've shown me so much love through my struggles. But how do you feel?" The question hung in the air, heavy and expectant. Her mother's expression shifted, revealing an array of emotions that had been hiding just beneath the surface. "I've struggled too, Ava. Trying to be the mom you need while managing my own fears. The truth is, I never wanted you to feel burdened by my worries," she admitted, tears in her eyes now. Ava's heart clenched. They were both carrying so much weight, yet they'd been too afraid to share it with each other. Could they continue this way? A door creaked, and the laughter of her family flooded the room, pulling them back into the present. Cooking smells wafted from the kitchen, suggesting that the meal would soon be ready. "Ava, can we keep talking?" her mother asked, searching her eyes for confirmation. Ava nodded, but her stomach tied into knots. They had opened an important dialogue. Just how deep would their discussion go? As she wiped away her tears, she knew they were standing at the edge of something significant. Could this be the moment to unleash their shared burdens? With another laugh echoing from outside, Ava felt a mix of fear and excitement stirring within her. What more would come to light if they continued down this path? What truths lay hidden behind their walls, waiting to be discovered? Ava took a deep breath, feeling the air tickle her lungs. Her heart was still racing, but the weight of her emotions felt a little lighter now, as if she'd lifted a small piece of the burden she had long carried. Her mom's eyes shone with a mix of determination and vulnerability, encouraging Ava to dive deeper into the sea of shared emotions. "You know," Ava said hesitantly, "the guy on the flight, he didn't just save us physically. He showed me that there's strength in vulnerability. I've hidden my feelings for so long, but I'm starting to think that maybe sharing them isn't as terrifying as I believed." Her mother nodded, the corners of her mouth pulling up slightly. "It's hard to be open. But, Ava, our fears are often just walls we build to protect ourselves. Sometimes, breaking those walls down is the bravest thing we can do." Ava felt a surge of hope mixed with fear. What if I uncover parts of myself that I don't like? What if I delve too deep and it hurts? The words tumbled out of her mouth unfiltered, exposing her rawest concerns. Her mother's brow furrowed. "But if you do uncover those parts, remember you're not alone. I'll be here every step of the way. We'll face it together." In those moments, Ava realized how true that was. They had been navigating their own struggles solo, afraid to lean on one another. Suddenly, the prospect of sharing their burdens didn't feel so daunting. A familiar sound echoed through the kitchen, where the clattering of dishes signaled Tyler's delight as he helped prepare dinner. His laughter was a melody she adored, a reminder of simple joys even in the darkest times. Ava couldn't help but smile, her heart warming at the thought. "Maybe we could ask him to join us," her mom suggested softly. "His laughter shines light on our heavy talk. It could help lighten everything." Ava chewed her lip, feeling the swell of emotion. She was torn between wanting the easy connection with her brother and the profound conversation with her mom. "Okay," she finally said, "let us include him." As she called Tyler over, the way he bounded into the room sparked laughter that filled the air. It was the kind of laughter that pushed away shadows, even if just for a moment. But Ava also knew they would need to return to their serious talk. "Hey, buddy," she began, after a moment of cheerful chit-chat had subsided. "We were just talking about some important stuff." He paused, looking between the two of them. "Important stuff? Like dueling superheroes?" "Because I'm totally in," he declared, pumping his fists in the air. Ava chuckled, feeling the tension alleviate slightly. "Not quite, but I like where your head's at." Her mother smiled, and Ava was grateful for moments like this that connected them, reminding her that they could be strong together even in vulnerability. Just as Ava thought they might swing back into deeper conversation, Tyler shifted gears. But wait. Did something happen on that flight that we didn't hear about? He asked, eyes wide with curiosity. Yeah, Ava replied, glancing at her mom for support. There were heroes on that flight. And I think Mom could share some of her own. As Tyler's enthusiasm began to draw out even more laughter, Ava locked eyes with her mother. They shared a knowing glance, one that unveiled a pact between them, a silent promise to navigate this journey together. Could they truly dig deeper? Ava knew that there were layers of strength beneath their laughter, and it was becoming clearer that their truths would elevate them, not tear them down. But before they could fully dive back into their talk, a sudden thought flickered through Ava's mind. Mom, do you think we should reach out to that guy? The hero from the flight? Her mother paused, the surprise visible on her face. What do you mean? Why would we? Ava leaned in, her heart racing at the thought. Maybe he could inspire us, seeing how far he has come could help us see where we can go. What if we could tell him how much he impacted our lives? A moment of silence hung in the air, palpable and unresolved. Could reaching out to a stranger help? Rebuild their family? In that brief pause, Ava felt the surge of possibilities. She could already see a new path unfurling before her. As they all exchanged glances, a shared sense of anticipation hummed through the room. What would this next step feel like? What kind of courage would it take to initiate that connection? And would it lead them to discover more about themselves in the process? Ava could sense the shift in the room as her suggestion hung there, weighty and raw. Tyler's eyes sparkled with curiosity, his brows lifting as he leaned in closer to hear more. Are you really serious? You want to talk to a complete stranger? Like, what would you even say? His enthusiasm made her smile, but uncertainty still churned in her gut. Her mom's brow furrowed slightly, a sign that she, too, was considering the implications. It's a big step, her mother finally said, her voice cautious but gently encouraging. But maybe it's the kind of step we all need to take. It could remind us that connection exists in unexpected places. Ava felt her heartbeat quicken. Was she really prepared to reach out to someone she didn't know? The idea felt both thrilling and daunting. She thought about the man who had saved them, how he had embodied strength and selflessness when it was needed most. I think it could help us, she replied, her voice steadying as she embraced her decision. Well, what do we know about him? Tyler asked, bouncing in his seat with excitement. Did you get his name? He must have a cool backstory. Ava's mind raced back to that moment on the flight, the panic in the air, and how he stepped up without hesitation. No, I don't know his name, she admitted reluctantly. Just that he was there when we needed him like a guardian angel. Maybe we can find him online? Social media? Tyler suggested, his imagination already spinning tales of heroic exploits. Perhaps, her mother mused softly. But we should be careful. We don't want to invade his privacy. True, Ava concurred, though she couldn't shake off the urgency bubbling inside her. But what if we wrote him a letter? Just sharing how he inspired us. It doesn't have to be invasive. A smile crept onto her mother's face, a flicker of pride. I like that idea. It's personal, sincere. Okay. So let us do it. Tyler clapped his hands, the excitement in his voice chasing away the remnants of tension. This'll be epic. We're like a superhero trio ourselves. As Tyler's enthusiasm rekindled the laughter, Ava felt a swell of warmth. It was incredible how a simple conversation could ignite hope, shift their dynamic, and rally them together. In that moment, her worries quieted. They were a family, and together they could explore their vulnerabilities, together they could embrace courage. Ava glanced at her mom, who nodded ever so subtly, as if to say they were allied in this. They spent the next hour recalling every detail they could remember about that flight, laughing and sharing ideas about how to draft their letter. It was a beautiful mix of fear and excitement, with every word strung together as a step forward into the unknown, but eventually, laughter morphed into silence as Ava felt a shadow creeping back, just a bit. What if he didn't respond? What if they opened a door only to find it slam back shut? The nagging questions lurked, hovering like a cloud over this newfound excitement. "Hey," Tyler interrupted her thoughts, noticing her silence. "You okay?" Ava forced a smile, but inside, uncertainty gnawed. "Yeah, just thinking. What if we're reaching for something that isn't even there?" Her brother leaned closer, sincerity written on his face. "But what if we find something amazing? We can't know until we try, right?" His words struck a chord deep within her. Tyler's simple belief in the possibility of something good reignited her hope. They could uncover layers of strength, even if it meant facing what scared them most. As they settled down to start their letter, Ava's fingers trembled, poised over the paper. There was so much to say, so much to uncover. And in that moment of stillness, she realized this wasn't just about reaching out to a stranger, it was about discovering themselves along the way. "Ava," her mother's voice cut through her thoughts, warmth washing over her. "Let us begin together." As they put pen to paper, Ava's heart raced with a mix of hope and trepidation. What courage awaited them in the words they were about to write? Would this be the stepping stone to something meaningful, not just for them but for the hero who had shown them the way? But as Ava wrote the first line, doubt flickered back. Would he understand their gratitude? Would he care? Then something else dawned on her, a thought almost startling in its clarity. "Mom, what if this leads us to something bigger? What if it changes everything?" And as they began to write, a renewed wave of anticipation surged through the room. What unlocks from sharing their truth? Ava glanced at her brother and mother, visions of courage and connection weaving through her mind. What awaited them was still uncertain, yet undeniably close. Ava took a deep breath and stared at the blank paper, struggling to find the right words. With her fingers poised over the page, a quiet determination settled in. She couldn't shake the feeling that this letter would mean more than just a message. It was about healing, not just for them, but very much for him too. "Okay," she said, breaking the silence. "How about we start with acknowledging what happened? That might set the tone." Her mom nodded, leaning forward to jot down notes. Tyler grabbed a pencil, fidgeting with it while tapping it against the table like a metronome. Ava focused, allowing herself to recall that terrifying moment, the thundering chaos of the flight. "I remember," she began, her voice catching slightly. "I felt so scared, like everything was falling apart, and then he was there. That's good." Tyler piped up. "You should definitely tell him how he made you feel safe." Ava nodded, her heart racing again. The memory of the man's calm, focused demeanor wrapped around her like a warm blanket. Yeah, like he was this solid rock amongst the crashing waves. Her mom smiled as she wrote. Together, they crafted the opening lines, layers of emotion unfolding in words that flowed like water. As they wrote about gratitude and bravery, the act felt healing. The laughter and warmth that erupted from their earlier excitement were quickly replaced with something deeper, something she almost feared to touch. Writing these feelings felt like pulling at loose threads of an old sweater, uncertain if it would unravel beautifully or leave a mess. "Let us write about how we were all connected, you know?" her mother suggested, glancing over at Ava. No one was alone in that moment, despite the chaos. We were all part of something bigger. "Yes!" Tyler exclaimed. "A superhero moment." And he was the hero. Ava's eyes lit up. The image of the man's steady presence filled her with hope. This moment was their chance to ignite change. But then doubt wrapped its icy fingers around her heart again. What if he doesn't want to be remembered like this? Ava whispered, flinching at her own question. Just then, something inside her reminded her that vulnerability was necessary for real connection, and sometimes the scariest leaps led to the most beautiful landings. Tyler sensed her hesitation. He has to know how much he helped us. How much he mattered. Maybe he thinks he's just an ordinary guy. We can show him he's not. Ava blinked back emotion, reminding herself why they were doing this. Right. He deserves to know that he can inspire others, too. With renewed energy, they whirled through the draft of the letter, pouring every ounce of their gratitude into every sentence. Time lost its grip as they became immersed in their shared mission, weaving together memories, appreciation, and hope. As the letter began to take shape, a nervous excitement filled the air. Would sending this letter change anything? Would the world feel different on the other side of their words? Can we write that he's an inspiration? Tyler chimed in. Like a real-life superhero. Yes. Ava replied, beaming. We need to make sure he knows how much we appreciate him. And just like that, the course shifted entirely. This wasn't just a letter, it became a bridge, a way to reach out and touch another life. As they neared the end, Ava felt a flicker of fear beneath the joy. What if it didn't land as they hoped? What if he felt overwhelmed or uncomfortable? Ready to send it? Her mom asked, glancing between them, hope gleaming in her eyes. Almost, Ava murmured, suddenly aware of the void that was left by harsh realities. They could only hope this moment would spark a turn in their journey, a journey that didn't end here. Okay, she said finally, taking a deep breath. Let us add one last line, something powerful. In those final moments, a determination bubbled inside her as she wrote the last sentence. Would this be the push they needed to break away from fear and into connection? As they sealed the letter, Ava's heart raced with both excitement and dread. What awaited them on the other side of this leap? Just then, her phone buzzed loudly, shattering the momentary silence, making them all jump. Ava looked down at the screen, feeling every heartbeat count in her chest. It was a message from an unknown number. Could this change everything? Ava's fingers trembled as she lifted her phone, the screen lighting up her pensive face. The message was brief but electrifying. I read your letter. Can we talk? Her heart raced, a mix of joy and anxiety swirling inside her. She glanced at her mother, whose eyes widened in surprise, and then at Tyler, his mouth hanging slightly open as he processed the news. It felt surreal, like a magic trick unfolding right before their eyes. Who is it? Tyler asked, his curiosity apparent. I don't know, Ava replied, her voice shaky. But it has to be him. The hero. Silence enveloped them, thick with anticipation. Ava stared at the screen, her thumb hovering over the reply button. What do you say to someone who had been so pivotal in a life-altering moment? Maybe we should just wait, her mom suggested gently, trying to read Ava's expression. Let him take the lead. But that wasn't the answer Ava craved. This was her chance to reach out, to forge a connection that was so important to her. No, I can't wait. This is huge. With tightening resolve, she began typing. Yes. I'd love to talk. When and where? Each keystroke felt monumental, as if she was building a bridge to something truly significant. But the excitement was tempered with a current of anxiety. What would they talk about? Would he want to hear more about how they felt? What if he didn't see himself as a hero at all? I sent it. She exclaimed, her voice a mix of pride and dread. They all held their breath. A moment passed, and then her phone buzzed again. A response. How about tomorrow at noon? Meet me at the diner on Maple Street. Ava's pulse quickened. He wants to meet me, us, she clarified, looking at her mother and brother, who were now caught up in her whirlwind of emotion. This is going to be real. Are we ready for this? Her mom asked, concern flickering across her face. What's to be ready for? Tyler jumped in. We just tell him how awesome he is. It's simple. Ava shifted in her seat, grappling with the reality that they were about to step into a deeply personal encounter. But what if he doesn't feel like a hero? What if I don't know, doesn't want to talk about it? Her mom placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. No matter what happens, Ava, this is about sharing your truth. You're connecting with him, not just recognizing his actions. Ava took a deep breath, savoring that piece of wisdom. It brought her back to the heart of their goal. Yeah, we just need to be honest. He deserves that. With a newfound purpose, Ava began jotting down her thoughts. What she wanted to say danced in her mind, vivid and intense. She wrote about her fear, her gratitude, and the way he had changed everything for them. As they wrapped up their planning for the next day, Ava felt a sweet pressure in the pit of her stomach. This was a new journey waiting to unfold, a chance to meet the man who had acted with such bravery and kindness. But just as they finished, doubt brushed against her heart again. Would they even know how to express all they felt? Could words alone ever be enough? Tomorrow felt heavy with expectation. What if they left that diner without understanding each other? Or worse, what if they left feeling more disconnected? For a moment, everything returned to a hush. But she had a strong feeling that change was within reach. As they prepared to go to bed, Ava clung to that thought, the hope that by confronting their fears, they would find connection not just with him, but also deeper within themselves. The next morning dawned bright, yet tumultuous. Each tick of the clock felt like thunder. Ava looked in the mirror, her reflection showing a brave face that didn't quite match the storm inside. What if it all goes wrong? She whispered to herself. But deep down, she knew change was rarely comfortable. As they gathered their things to leave, Ava caught a glimpse of the sealed letter resting on her desk, a tangible piece of everything that had led to this moment. With a final, resolute glance towards the door, she whispered, "Here goes everything." Could today really be the start of something extraordinary? The diner stood gleaming under the clear sky, brightly colored signs flickering above like a beacon. As Ava, her mother, and Tyler stepped inside, the familiar smell of coffee and fresh pancakes mixed with the anticipation in the air. The booths were lined up neatly, their red vinyl seats inviting yet intimidating. Everything felt electric with possibility. Ava's heart raced as she scanned the room. What if he didn't show? That thought clawed at her insides. She could almost hear the tick-tock of the clock on the wall, each second stretching into eternity. There he is, Tyler squeaked, pointing toward a figure seated at the counter. A man in a baseball cap and a worn jacket was hunched over a cup of coffee. The tall, broad-shouldered silhouette felt familiar, and the sight sent a rush of emotions coursing through Ava: nervousness, excitement, and a hint of gratitude. As they approached, Ava's palms felt clammy. What if he doesn't want to talk? She murmured, forcing herself to keep moving. Just breathe, her mom encouraged softly. You've got this. When they reached the counter, the man looked up, revealing a face that was kind and warm. His eyes, deep and thoughtful, met Ava's gaze, and the moment seemed to stretch into forever. Ava? He asked, his voice low and steady. That's me, she said, her voice barely escaping her throat. Nice to finally meet you in person. He smiled, and she felt an instant connection, like coming home after a long journey. Thank you for meeting us, she replied, her words spilling over with honesty. We've been looking forward to this. Tyler jumped in, his starry eyes sparkling. You're our hero. You saved us. We just wanted to say thank you. The man's smile faltered slightly, a flicker of something: modesty? Uncertainty? Ava couldn't tell. I just did what anyone would have done. It wasn't just me, he said, glancing around as if searching for validation from the diner's patrons. The moment felt charged with an unspoken weight. Ava realized she had a choice: to tell the truth about what his actions had meant to her and her family, or to shy away, to keep it light. You probably don't know how much it really mattered, she started, her voice gathering strength. That day changed everything for us. It wasn't just about what you did, it was how you made us feel, like we weren't alone. The man shifted, visibly moved. I really appreciate you saying that, he replied, his eyes softened with gratitude. But honestly, I feel like I just acted on instinct. The conversation flowed like the coffee pouring from the pot behind the counter, each drop capturing memories and emotions. Ava shared her story, the despair of that day, the fear that had threatened to consume them, and the light of hope he had ignited. Her emotions intertwined with the words, creating a tapestry of gratitude and admiration. Tyler added his own tales of fears and hopes, while their mom chimed in with her perspective, grounding the dialogue in the emotional reality they had all shared. As they spoke, Ava watched the man's demeanor shift from humble uncertainty to something deeper: understanding, connection. But just as she felt things were truly changing, the tension returned. The clock behind her ticked louder. What if he's not as great as I thought? What if he doesn't want anything to do with us after this? The anxiety crept back in, but she pushed it aside. Can we really say everything we feel? Ava thought, glancing at his face, still there, still open. Then she noticed his hands clenching the edge of the counter. Suddenly, he broke the silence. I never saw myself as a hero. I always thought it just made me an ordinary guy. Ava's breath caught. But you did something extraordinary, she insisted. And it matters. It matters to us. Before he could respond, the door swung open with a jingle, and a gust of cool air rushed into the diner. A couple of teenagers filed in, laughing, their joy vibrant against the backdrop of breakfast patrons. Maybe being ordinary isn't so bad after all, the man replied slowly, a new light in his eyes. Ava felt that a shift was happening, something pivotal, something that skated just out of reach. With her heart racing, she realized that this conversation may lead them to a truth neither of them had anticipated. Maybe, she started, leaning in, a question lingering on the tip of her tongue. Maybe there's more to this story than we ever thought. The air was thick with uncertainty and hope. What could they discover if they kept talking? As the diner buzzed around them, Ava sensed change blossoming before her eyes, a real connection beyond words waiting to be uncovered. Could this be the beginning of understanding, a bridge between their worlds, or just a moment caught in time that would slip away before they could grasp it? Ava sat poised at the edge of her diner seat, heart racing as the warmth of shared stories hung in the air. She could see it in the soldier's eyes, a flicker of acknowledgement, maybe even relief. His past, filled with struggles, echoed their journey, binding them in unspoken ways. You think being ordinary isn't enough? She asked gently, feeling the swell of courage rise within her. But being ordinary can lead to extraordinary moments. He looked deep into her eyes, and Ava sensed he was absorbing her words. I've fought to understand my worth, you know? To make sense of a world that often overlooks people like me. And people like us, Ava added, glancing at Tyler and then at her mother. We all carry our own battles, don't we? He nodded slowly, and a small, thoughtful smile spread across his face. You're right. We do. I see that now. Just like you told me, on that flight, we were connected. You don't even realize how much it means to hear that. Ava held her breath, encouraged by his willingness to dive deeper. Connection can change everything. It sure changed me. Tyler leaned in, his innocent excitement filling the space. You're not just a hero for what you did that day, he chimed in. You helped all of us believe in ourselves. Maybe that's what being a hero really means. Ava squeezed her brother's hand, heart swelling with pride. It was incredible to witness Tyler embrace this moment, just as she had hoped. There was magic in this room, a kind of warmth that swept away their fears one gentle word at a time. Then the soldier's eyes softened, a blend of humility and gratitude merging in his demeanor. You've given me a different perspective, he said. It makes me feel like I can own my story too. Yes. Ava echoed, her voice brightening. We all need to own our stories. There's strength in sharing, in being vulnerable. It's not about perfection, it's about authenticity. Finding meaning in our struggles. I never thought of it that way, he admitted, leaning closer now, as if drawing strength from their shared exchange. Ava's right, her mother chimed in, her voice steady. Every one of us carries burdens. But releasing them that makes room for new beginnings. We want to show you that you can inspire not just us, but countless others. The soldier's eyes glimmered with newfound purpose. I want that too. I've lost touch with that part of me. I forgot how to connect with people. That's the beauty of it, Ava said, emboldened now. You just did. All it takes is one moment, a conversation like this, to illuminate the darkness. To bring hope where hopelessness tried to settle in. And just like that, something shifted. The room felt different, charged with energy, barely contained. The soldier looked around, absorbing not only Ava and the family but the entire diner, where connections buzzed all around, waiting to be acknowledged. You've inspired me, he said softly, his voice tinged with vulnerability. Maybe this is what I needed all along, to see that my journey was never meant to be done in solitude. Tears rushed to Ava's eyes, a wave of relief and joy washing over her. You're not alone, she said. You're part of something larger, just like all of us. After a moment, the soldier broke into a broad smile. You're right. Together, we can grow. We can be there for one another, and we should. Absolutely. Shouted Tyler, full of spirit. Let us make a plan. We could start a group to help others. Ava's heart soared at her brother's enthusiasm. This was their chance. That would be amazing. Let us make it a community effort. We could share stories, build connections, and reach out to those who feel unheard. The soldier nodded, clearly touched. Count me in. I want to help. Their exchange held a promise, something bigger than the three of them. They were going to bring people together, create understanding, and foster hope. The ripple effect would echo beyond their small table, and enter other lives, reshaping perspectives one conversation at a time. As they finished their coffee, Ava was overwhelmed with gratitude for the soldier, for her family, and for this moment of realization. They each held a piece of the story, waiting to be shared. They were about to embark on an adventure that would transform not just their lives but countless others along the way. Ava took a deep breath. This is just the beginning. We're going to embrace our stories and share them with the world. In that little diner on Maple Street, with laughter and hope ringing in the air, Ava realized they had already begun to rewrite their scripts, reclaiming their worth and power with every word spoken. Their journey would inspire change not just for them, but for every person who needed to believe in light amidst the darkness. As they left the diner, an electric sense of possibility pulsed between them. They were ready to take on the world, united not by fear, but by the strength of their connections and the stories that had yet to be told. Now it was time to take the leap, raise their voices, and discover how far the impact of their community could truly reach. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our journey. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this transformative ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this message of connection and hope. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our channel through these actions.